Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Infiniti QX50. Before we get into this video though, I do want to mention if you want to save time and money, the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic. Fuel economy is 22 around town and then 28 on the highway, with power outputs being 268 horsepower and then 280 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see we've got some like softer lines on either side, and then there in the center, it's a little bit sharper, but I think it looks good. Really cool style here for the headlights with the daytime running lights, and then you guys can see fog light action down below. We do have some parking sensors here on the front end, and then notice how the grille's all blacked out with the Infiniti logo there front and center. And overall, when it comes to front end styling, I think that Infiniti did a good job. It has a cool sporty appearance. Coming around the side here, tire and wheel setup is 255/45/20 in the front and over in the rear as well. And when it comes to the wheel design, I think it's cool with like the little silver inserts on top of the gray wheel itself. Now I've got these fender flares here, and then notice like the blacked out accent piece, and then you can see it's like body painted at the bottom. And then I like how the mirror caps are body painted, so are the door handles actually. But then like everything on the roof is kind of blacked out. And putting it all together, I think they actually did a really good job again with the side style here. The body lines and everything, they're really sharp. So here's our key fob. You guys can see the Infiniti logo there at the top. We've got our remote start function, our lock function, unlock, and then the opening for the rear hatch. Now popping into the rear, storage space here in the back is actually really solid. And on top of that, we can lift up the load floor here for more storage underneath. And then you'll notice we've got these little latches here to throw down these seats so you can get even more storage. You probably noticed the little charging port right there. And then when you're all done, just press that button. It will lower everything back down. Very sharp looking taillights here. Of course, we got our QX50 badge, and then you can see the rest of the badge is all blacked out. I think that's fun. Parking sensors there at the rear, and then look at the covers for the exhaust tips. Those actually look really cool. And putting it all together, again, I think that Infiniti did a really good job with the style when it comes to making like a sport SUV. Now popping inside here, you guys can see soft touch at the top, and look at like the stitching, and then I love this trim here. That looks really sweet. And then look at the silver trim mixed in, and then more padding down below. And then the window itself is actually automatic. And then here are the seats. I love the two-tone with the red here in the center and the black on the outside. I think that looks very sharp. Now legroom here in the back is actually pretty good. We've got a little storage pocket here. We got some vents, and then we got some USB action. And then headroom back here is also good. And would you look at this? We got a cup holder armrest. Now taking a look at the door panel here in the front, you guys can see you got the same padding at the top, and then look at like the trim down below, and then all the padding down below that. All of our window controls, they are all automatic. We've got our mirror adjustment. The mirrors do power fold in. Got memory seats. Bose sound system actually sounds pretty good. Here's the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then the front seats have that same cool two-tone design, and then we've got our power adjustments here on the side. And then you notice we've got our steering assist control right here, parking sensors. That's for the hatch. You got your light controls as well, including the fog lights. And then the steering wheel itself is manually adjustable. Now taking a look at the steering wheel itself, really nice padding all around. You can see the contrasted stitching down the center portion. We do have paddle shifters here on the back for the CVT. This does come with adaptive cruise control. You got your voice command, phone controls, volume controls, all the normal stuff. Turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock. Now here's the gauge cluster. It's analog on either side, but we do have a screen there in the center, which we can basically use to scroll through different bits of information on the vehicle on the information. Gosh, getting dyslexic again here, apparently. Anyways, notice the fuel economy there. And other than that, I think it's pretty cool. We do have some different drive modes. Notice we got like a sport mode we can go into, standard, you got an eco, and then you have a personal mode as well. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Resolution's pretty good. It is a 360 camera system, so I can press this button and like go through all the different camera views, which I think is pretty cool. Now this is actually a touchscreen, but I can also control it via a dial as well. This is like the first screen here in the QX50. And then down below we have the secondary screen. So around it we've got our analog climate controls, dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats, which we're actually going to turn that off. And there's no one in the passenger seat, so we don't need that one either. But you notice we've got analog controls here at the bottom of the screen that I guess make use a little bit easier. Response time's pretty good. For some reason I feel like the top screen responds better than the bottom screen for some reason, but It's interesting that it has 2 screens. Now, before we move on, I do want to mention the dash is like completely covered. You can see with all the stitching. And notice how that trim connects. I actually think that that looks pretty sweet. And then look how it goes into like the red here. And then this is that analog control for the top screen, if you guys are wondering. And while we're in this area, got a wireless phone charging pad. We got some USBs, cup holder action as well. And then here's our shifter for the transmission select, drive mode select, parking brake with our auto hold. And then look at this with the center console. Tons of storage there. And then look how like the red connects through. I think that's pretty cool. And then we've got the glove box. So it's nice that like a lot of the surfaces are padded. And then on top we got our control for the sunroof. This does have a full panoramic sunroof. So here's our window sticker for this QX50 Sport. That's what the S stands for, by the way, with that badge on the back, Sport. Base MSRP $50,500, total MSRP $52,815. Let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before I set off. Here's visibility of the hood, both the mirrors. Just do blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Okay, so setting off in the QX50 here. And we're actually gonna turn that off right now. There we go. First off, I think the seats are actually pretty comfortable. I like the bolstering. I feel like it's a decent amount. I mean, the chill use, it's soft, and so it's a comfortable place to be. Now, I will say, when it comes to road noise, somewhat typical for this segment, which I'm not a huge fan of, because with this segment of luxury crossovers, I put luxury in quotations because, you know, luxury, I feel like you shouldn't have as much road noise and everything you have in this segment, but again, you do. It's louder than I would prefer, honestly. And, well, let's punch it here. So you can see it's quick. And the CVT responds well, and that wasn't even in sport mode. So I guess we'll have to get another one in sport mode. But that's something that a lot of people complain about with this vehicle, is the CVT. And I'll say that, I mean, the paddle shifters really show. For a CVT, look how responsive that is. Like, press, instant. Press, instant. Like, it's better than a lot of, you know, regular torque converter automatics in terms of the response time with the transitions that this has. So in terms of being a CVT, it's like the best CVT out there. But that being said, it still has some awkwardness at low speeds. And, you know, when you're at the very top, that's where you kind of, like, in the rev range, that's where you kind of feel, you know, the CVT-ness of it. But overall, I mean, again, for what it is, it does a fantastic job. So I think that Infiniti's done a good job with that. Well, Infiniti/Nissan, right? Now, some other stuff with this car, the safety tech's pretty solid with the adaptive cruise control, the steering assist, all that. So I think they've done a good job with that too. Like, look at this. Like, get into an automatic car from 10 years ago and the transmission will not respond that quickly. I promise you. See, that's where you can tell, you know, you feel the CVT-ness is at the very top end. But like mid-range, it feels pretty good. Let me see if I can go in automatic mode with the, yeah, hold the plus pedal. So, summing things up, a lot of people compare this to like the BMW X3 and all that, and if I have time, I'll try to do an X3 comparison. But what I'd have to say is, you know, money-wise, quite a bit less expensive than the BMW X3. And, you know, the dynamics, the engine, everything is right there with the X3, frankly. Again, 4-cylinder X3 to this. But I will say I do still prefer the transmission than 8-speed auto on the X3. So I think that, you know, Nissan/Infiniti have a really good transmission, the 9-speed. I think they should put that in more of their vehicles like this. And I think that'll help out. Because, I mean, look at the QX60. That thing sells amazingly well. It's got a 9-speed automatic, right? So let me know what you guys think about the QX50. I think it's a great luxury sport crossover, like smaller luxury sport crossover. But I do think that there are some improvements that could be made, and most specifically the transmission, because I really like this engine. This engine's a lot of fun.